Hey guys, it's Kosi. Welcome back to the already 6th episode to purge the world from all the nasties while empowering the rise of catboys.
Yeah.
In the last episode, we celebrated the next level of luck by receiving our second Biss trinket, encountered Germans that possibly were some sort of angry, never thought that's a thing, engaged in our first heroic raid that we just abandoned after it didn't work out anymore,
Pussy.
and we boosted our rating even higher while pretty much sniffing the rectum of Keystone Hero. Now in this episode we will continue the key grind, attempting more +20s in order to prep a full-blown myth-track item vault and to slowly emerge from the gutter tier of gaming to become him. Also, I actually had the dumb idea to continue the heroic raid I left, and that was, oh man, rough. That was rough. And what do you reckon? Will this big vault be the most insane thing we ever seen? Or will it be, just like me, a big disappointment? Keep in mind, this is the luckiest route in the world though. So get yourself a drink, get comfy, buckle up, and be ready to officially launch the road to 3k today. Alright, so let's quickly catch up what happened. After getting humiliated in the fever dream of a Murozond's Rise Key, we dusted ourselves off and bounced back into the action, timing not only our first +20 but also the second, ending on a score of 2458 and an item level of 468 to continue this week, because believe it or not, we are far from done.
You're joking.
So this one starts with the +18 Blackrock Cold, which was my key. Now this key actually happened rather early in the week and I just forgot to use this footage in the 5th episode, so just go over this in a quick manner by simply showing you some fat damage bits that actually had me surprised. Oh, and turns out, this is actually the dungeon where we topped over 500k for the first time, 630k to be exact. I love numbers, man. Now, besides me topping the shards of every boss in here, this went very smooth and there wasn't much to show for, so we go ahead to do the current stuff instead. Notice that I said current and not fun, because the first thing we will witness is another heroic raid. Kusi, why do you go into another raid, even though you don't like it? I'm glad you asked. You see, there are still a handful of items that could be banger upgrades compared to a lot of my current gear, but also because I'm autistic enough to feel the urge to finish things I started. So after about 25 minutes of applying and again lying by saying I cleared the raid multiple times in the notes, I actually got into a group that was also stuck at Lorada. Though rather soon we figured that this raid lead isn't messing around. Not sure if he typed all of that by hand, but he just gave an entire rundown of the boss in one raid warning. He's not only a Chad, but a pimp that absolutely knew how to drill his bitches. And we were those bitches. And surprisingly, we killed that dude first try. The one my party earlier this week struggled so hard to get past. Now with this one, we sit on 4 heroic kills, which means 2 slots from the vault, and I really hope that this would be enough already. I'm not certain how this works nowadays with raid versus vault, but wasn't it the case that if you kill a certain boss, every other boss that drops the same item level or lower will be enabled into the vault loot pool? Ah well, guess we're going to figure that one out at some point in time. Next up was this weird council fight that is pretty fun in general, but from an RP perspective, this doesn't make sense at all. You see, in this fight, all of the abilities happening get cancelled by other abilities. For example, you need to use the charging bear to stun the dryad when she's channeling her stuff, while you need to use those green puddles that the dryad spawns when the fairy is using her Song of the Dragon. You also need to use the little ability you get after being polymorphed to cancel out the AoE rage effect of the bear. Legit, the only outplay you do as a player is using the polymorph to cleanse puddles. For everything else, each of those bosses could just solo you and you would die at some point. That's a weird design. Yet this seems like at least a change of pace for tanks, because last time I tanked raids it was pretty much just taunt on 3 stacks, taunt on 5 stacks, or taunt whenever your stacks are gone. Here it seems like they actually get to play the game, which is a big dub in my book. Yet we had a fair amount of mess ups happening, and after 30 minutes of progressing, we killed it finally. No loot, but I wasn't expecting any up until Smolderon, so I wasn't too bummed about it. Yet what followed next was just painful. To be completely honest, I had very little idea on what is happening on this fight. I knew little bits, but not at all how they maybe are connected. Turns out it's not that difficult in theory. When you get the bomb on you, which is this big circle, you want to simply move out of the area while making sure you don't cover the space between boss and adds. And whenever you see one of those little green circles on the ground, you have to soak them till they disappear, as they are constantly pulsing damage to the raid. And that's it. Besides the ad phase where you have to kill 2 trees, but that's pretty much a no-brainer since the boss isn't targetable at that time. But for some unknown damn flippin' reason, we wiped on this bitch for 90 damn minutes. Every pull some people left and had to be replaced, and after the 5th death, I questioned my mentioned autistic self if it was satisfied.
Yes.
And so I left. Some things don't need to be finished, but I'm sure I will attempt it again in the future since I'm just that kind of dull in the head. So now, fun stuff. We interrupt this program to quickly squeeze in a shameless self-plug. If you, by any chance, enjoy this video, you can show it to me by leaving a like or, and you can call me crazy for this suggestion, subscribe to the channel. Either of these is free and it would make this angry German a lot happier. Also, how about we make it a little goal? If we get to 3k subscriber before reaching 3k rating on the Druid, we will have a live stream or two, in which we probably do some keys or even a raid if there are enough peeps for it. So if you're interested in that, ferocious bite the subscribe button and make it happen. Back to the video. But first, we got ourselves another crafted item, one more ring, but this time 486 as well. 30 item level upgrade to the one we had before, so this was a bumper. From timing the plus 20 Waycrest mana last episode, we got ourselves a 21 Black Rook hold. I was ready, and I mean ready for that one, so I queued up. For at least 20 minutes, but not even a damn DPS applied. I figured that this is maybe because of my score and that people won't take me serious enough, so I opted out to just put it on 20 and increase my score first by getting all the portals done. So 20 it is, and here we actually found a band of people pretty quickly, but I wasn't ready for that Demon Hunter damage. Apparently I also wasn't ready for Lady Ravencrest when deciding to step into the cleave again. Multiple times. I got such a hard time figuring out where this bitch is pointing at, but I guess that's why the tanks have those markers. Would be a lot easier for my casual brain if there was a cone on the ground. I guess it's too late in the season to ask for those things, so I just have to get good. On the first boss I was certain we are going to wipe on this. In the intermission, 3 souls made it through, so I went bare form with the big defensive cooldown of survival instinct to maybe get through. And it worked. Huh. Did not see that one coming, honestly. Now towards the second boss I felt like my mind was making things very difficult for me. For some reason I felt this pressure like, oh, this is a plus 20. Like I didn't do many of those before in the past. So I often got clipped by things I usually avoid. Still got a long way ahead of me, man. Yet besides dirt napping more often than I got comfortable with, we could at least contribute a solid amount of deeps, as the kids call it, towards the bosses. While on trash packs I actually did do damage, but the other two made it look like child's play compared to them. On the stairs I could at least blame my dying on the beds instead of me standing and shit, so that didn't feel too bad after all. Nothing more to mention happened because those 4 guys just carried my ass to the promised land and not even 200k overall to my name in this dungeon. That's rough, buddy. Only 19 rating for this, even though it's a plus 20 and 2 chest, which really made me question how long this will take to get to 3k. Now the dungeons I still needed for score this week were Gallocrons and Throne of Tides out of all keys. But fortunately, I in fact did get a 22 Gallocrons fall from this. But again, for a few minutes I tried to get a party for the 22, but no one applied. So instead of waiting 20-ish minutes, I just lowered it to 20 right away, because at this point I've been playing for a lot longer than I expected. On the first pull in here I felt so incredibly juicy, cause not only did I survive the first few seconds, barely, but I also got to pump a good amount of damage out. Topping the shards even with the Frost Mage and an Enhancer in the party? Okay, not quite sure if they actually do damage, but I just thought it sounds epic. The trash towards the second boss is still a mystery to me. So much happens in there. AoE left, right and center, cones flying around, heaps of dots. This is just too much for me, and this entire bullshittery peaked when we actually pulled the boss. Because look what happens on the very first set of orbs. Let's watch that again, in slow motion. Now what I wrote down was actually the case. This spell animation of the mage is something I legit have never seen before, and it confused me so much that I stared on the bottom left corner on my screen to figure out what's happening. My mind instantly went to, okay, mass spawn of incorporeal for some weird reason, so dirt nap again. Do you ever get mad at yourself when you mess up this easily when you know you can do better? Let's listen to some live audio of that situation. Anyways, this is how I felt watching them do the entire fight without me. Considering we legit had all 21 deaths so far between the first boss and the second, the rest of the dungeon went rather clean, no 2 chests, but honestly I wasn't expecting one either. Now before the dungeon, I asked the tank if he needs the tank trinket from here, cause I can also roll tank and potentially give it to him. Instead, he asked me to roll Boomkin for the staff, so his mage buddy gets a banger. Unfortunately, this isn't how this weird loot system works, so I rolled tank and got a chest piece that is not only a hero track item, but mastery crit is beyond crisp, so I take that for sure. Yet no trinket, but wait, there's more. The mage actually got the staff on 470 item level, upgradable to 483. What a banger. I genuinely was happy for that one, since I know a few people who are still molding to this day not getting it, even though they only do about 4 Galakrons keys each week to stack the vault. Loot luck is real. This whole run also put the final nail in the coffin that is Keystone Hero by stumbling over the Covenant 2500 rating. Now, because it was close to 1 AM, I decided to call it a day and continue the final dungeon tomorrow. But then I had a change of mind. So we are doing a Throne of Tides plus 8? What? Now you ask yourself,
what is this? For what? Why?
Let me explain. I saw someone looking for a tank and a healer for Throne 8, and because I don't need this for score, I thought, why not help a brother out? I mean, how desperate do you have to be to use the damn area chat in Valdraken while also being cute? So that's why we are here. To simply give back a little after getting hard carried for so many times. But I won't make this too long of a thing, and I will just quickly shout out those two lovely gamers who reached out to me over the course of this week. Funny enough, both hunters and both on the same day. And while I got crippling fear of being DDoSed after getting whispered by one of you, I was pleasantly surprised when someone just hit me up in the middle of Valdraken to say hi. It's a weird feeling to say the least, but it just warms my deep, cold, frozen German heart to see so much support from people that just want to enjoy playing the game. And to the first gamer that reached out to me per whisper that said I got him back into playing the game, I'm so sorry, man. Now needless to say, 3-chested, and I hope those lovely peeps got a biz item from the vault. Next day I decided to do one more key, not because I needed any more for the vault, but because I wanted to redeem myself. Now, not to confuse you here, but this dungeon being after 1 on the clock is just a coincidence. This is 1 PM instead of 1 AM. And you wanna know why I knew this party means business? Look at their names. We got Gwynny Bears, Dead Shammy, Dead Shot, and the fucking air horn. I knew those guys take shit seriously. So first pull, Lust got used, Pots got chucked, and we annihilated this thing without people dying to the flipping swirlies on the ground. And besides me dying once in trash, because I got too hyped to kick this mini-boss, while getting too close to him to just finger blast me to Narnia, this went good. A lot better than the stuff before so far. And then came Tyr. The middle part was just a piece of cake, so we get to the point that ruined my plus 20 Murozond's experience in the last episode. The battlefield. Now, besides me getting clipped by one of those bombs, which probably led to me dying to the dots regardless, I instead used what I learned last episode and just blamed the tank. Well, in my head. But it seems like he heard me. Somehow Airhorn and this healer, that instead of Dead Shammy I will only call Alive Shammy from now on, managed to survive the entire tank fight until the 3 of us returned. Insane. And while the boss fight just really had my asshole tight the entire time, in fear I might get blasted by those archers, we got it done. All hail Alive Shammy. Mochi on the other hand was nothing to worry about. I even rooted my mirror so we don't get a 5 stack of the dot. Hashtag place. The rest of the trash was no issue either, so we had a fair chance of still potentially 2-chest this one. Until we didn't. But I yet again survived this boss fight, which now officially means that we are rehabilitated and no longer have to be called Dirt Napper. Well, at least on this specific boss fight. No loot for me, but at least someone got a big trinket from it. Hope they can use it for sure. But this was the final key to end week 3 in a quite solid fashion, I'd say. 25-45 rating and an item level of 471. And a pretty stacked vault with 2 heroic pieces that probably only can drop the ashes again to make me horny, while having 3 dungeon slots, all of the highest possible rank. I'm equally as hyped as I am juiced for this one. What I'm not juiced about is this week's affixes however, but more on that next episode. Let's check out the vault. Oh, you gotta be kidding me! I don't even care about anything else. This weapon, do you understand how huge this is? Let me show you. This thing is not only better than the heroic version of the weapon we have currently, this is also the best damn weapon in the game for us, besides the Firak one on Mythic. We won't obtain that one ever, so this is the closest thing to God we could ever dream of. And not only is this thing the best weapon, it is the overall biggest upgrade we possibly could have gotten from the vault. Oh man, I'm getting dizzy.